Pocket 4K, which they both have micro four thirds sensors, which are quite small. This has a large super thigh? Super thigh? Wow. So let's talk about some pros and cons of this camera and see if you can work out if it's suitable for the project you're going to be working on. One of the biggest pros of this camera, one of the positives aspects, is its high dynamic range. This camera has 15 stops of dynamic range, which is similar to Red and Arri Alexa, which are cameras typically filmed in high-budget blockbuster films. Something else which is great about this camera is the wide variety of different codec choices you have, ranging from ProRes LT, which is a very, very small codec, with not a lot of room to color grade, but maybe you want that really small file size, going all the way up to RAW, which is a huge file size which you may struggle to edit with, but it does offer that kind of extreme color grading potential as well. Well, something which I would recommend is filming with a nice middle ground codec, something like ProRes 422 or even ProRes 444. These codecs are quite large. Normally you're looking at around 1 gigabyte per minute if you're filming HD, but that gives you a lot of potential to color grade and kind of get whatever kind of look you want with your image. So you have a lot of flexibility with the images which you can achieve with this camera. So something else which is great about this camera is its large sensor. It has a Super 35 sensor, which is again similar to what you may see in the cinema, that kind of big Hollywood image. There are cameras coming out now with larger sensors, but Super 35mm is still really great, especially if you're coming from something like the Panasonic GH5 or the Blackmagic Pocket Cinematography 4K, which have micro four thirds sensor, which is smaller. Having a larger sensor means you kind of get a wider field of view and you get more depth of field as well, which is more akin to that kind of cinematic image which you may be trying to achieve. Posh. Something else great about this camera is it works with an EF mount. So EF is made by Canon, so that means all of the Canon lenses will work with this camera as well as other lenses we have in the loan shop which also have an EF mount, such as the Samyang Cine Primes which we have here, and we also have some Sigma lenses as well, also with the EF mount. So lenses don't always have to match brand to the camera. For example, there are no such thing as Blackmagic lenses. Instead, pay attention to the mount of the camera and the mount of the lens you're trying to attach. Something to bear in mind with this camera when deciding if it's right for your project is how you intend to use sound. I don't particularly like recording sound with this camera. It does have two XLR ports that are located at the back here, but I find that the sound card built into the Blackmagic isn't great, and I find it really difficult to get good sounding sound when recording with this camera. So you're going to want to work with someone else who can record sound separately, perhaps into like a Zoom H6n, H5n, something like that, which will also then require you to sync sound in post. So, although this is one of the more powerful cameras in the loan shop, that doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect for every type of filming job. So for instance, we have a wide variety of different shoots, such as short film, documentary, if you're filming an event maybe, things like that. You may not always want to go for this. This is kind of built around working on a more controlled environment, such as a short film set, where you've got multiple people working with you. For instance, if you're working on a documentary film, this may not be the camera to go for. It's not great in low light conditions, so a documentary often you're filming in a wide variety of different situations, and this isn't the best camera to kind of adapt from sudden light to dark. Getting good at this.